Hello, Sacral Beauties. Welcome to the SheSacral Podcast. If you're new, I'm your host, Lindsay Christian, and I help women recover from chronic burnout. Today, we're going to talk all about the visibility wound, and this wound is really big for many women who struggle with really putting themselves out there and feeling confident, feeling comfortable with shining. Oftentimes, the misconception is, oh, you don't have confidence or you don't believe in yourself. But the thought is not, I can't succeed. It's if I succeed, I'll be attacked, judged, or abandoned. So many women end up unconsciously hiding their gifts, opportunities, and wealth because of this wound. First, I want to go over where this visibility wound comes from. That often stems from standing out and being met with punishment or judgment or some type of rejection. So instead of being celebrated, your light actually became a liability for you. So maybe as a child, you got really excited to share your story and you were told, be quiet, nobody cares, or children are meant to be seen and not heard, right? Or maybe you showed a talent where you were dancing or drawing or singing, and instead of receiving encouragement, you were mocked, scolded, or told that you were showing off. And so your nervous system learned that attention means danger. But that's not where it stops. You could have also gone through bullying or some deeper form of rejection. So if you were ever picked apart in school for how you looked, or maybe the moment you raised your hand and your classmates laughed at you. So sometimes when that happens, we can even take on trying to make fun of ourselves before others do. That way we feel like we have some level of control of the pain that we're going to feel, because it's like, if I make fun of myself before other people say anything, then I'm not going to feel that level of pain or rejection from them because I already did it. And so then it kind of softens the blow. But over time, that creates that self-talk that diminishes your confidence and your feeling of worthiness. So not only could we have experienced something in our childhood with bullying and rejection, but there can also be cultural modesty codes. So many women inherit this very subtle but powerful message to say, don't be too loud. Don't make other people feel uncomfortable by standing out. So that good girl script really praises humility and wanting to be invisible while punishing the boldness, the confidence, the sensuality that is a big part of our natural selves. In some families, you may have even had one sibling that was labeled as the golden child. And if you weren't that child, then you may have learned, well, there's no space for me to shine. Or maybe if you were the star, you may have experienced the jealousy and the pressure that made the visibility feel unsafe. So while you're getting praised by your parents, your siblings are resenting you for that, and they're giving you a hard time. So it's like no one's really winning. There could also be generational fear. For many generations, visibility really did come with real danger. Women were persecuted for speaking, for leading, for healing in their communities, for disrupting the peace, if you will, disrupting the status quo of what was considered to be the norm. They were killed for that. So these traumas that our ancestors have gone through, they don't just disappear. They echo in the nervous system. We still carry that. We still feel that. And so today, visibility is even more amplified with social media. So you have one post or one video, and suddenly now you're exposed to tons of strangers, criticism, or even cancel culture. So if you've never gone viral, the possibility of it can keep your nervous system braced. And so the belief becomes it's much safer to stay small, quiet, and invisible. If you haven't listened to the under-earning wound episode that I covered in the earlier part of this series, this is a big piece to that, because we may unconsciously shrink ourselves because we're afraid to really put ourselves out there to receive abundance the way that abundance can come in. So when you do have a wound centered around being visible and being on display, your desire to expand will collide with your body's fear of being seen. So you want the abundance, but you hide the very gifts that you have that would generate that abundance. You may self-sabotage before you get that breakthrough. So you may do all of this work preparing for a launch or a project or a performance, but at the very last minute, you cancel, or maybe you end up getting quote unquote sick. How many times have you lied about being sick and then a few days later you got sick, right? It's something to it. I'm just saying. Either way, your nervous system is saying that if I succeed, then I will bring danger. So another pattern can be hiding online or at work. So you may avoid posting your face or sharing your story or putting your name on things. You may also tend to shrink. So when recognition comes, like a raise or a praise or spotlight, you immediately deflect, right? You just feel like you want to crumble up into a ball. You feel shaky, exposed, or guilty for standing out. So you end up giving that credit away. If you have the instinct and the qualification to lead, to be on display, maybe you have this beautiful, vibrant personality, you are made to be seen. You are made to have other people connect with you. But this wound is creating a blockage. So this is really about knowing yourself and knowing, am I hiding or am I in a space of doing what I do best? Even small moments like being complimented or having to introduce yourself in front of others can feel paralyzing. So the visibility wound lives in the body as both freeze and being on high alert. So the freeze response says when attention turns towards you, your body shuts down, you procrastinate, or you completely abandon the opportunity. This is not weakness, as others may think. It's your nervous system that is truly trying to protect you from what it thinks is danger. And then even when you do show up, your body is so hyper aware that it is on consistent alert. So you're scanning for judgment at every glance, every comment, every silence. You are tuned to focusing on, okay, where's my next attack coming from? Because that's happened to you. Afterwards, you start replaying everything in your mind and you start analyzing how did you look, how you sounded, and how you were perceived. Which, to be honest, is pretty impossible because we don't have the capability of being able to see ourselves through the lens of others. Everyone sees you completely different, and it's going to exhaust you trying to figure out what that was because we'll never know what that is. Instead of focusing so much on how other people are perceiving you, if you just focus on feeling good and confident, that energy is going to radiate to the world around you. Each time you are on high alert, it is flooding your body with cortisol. And so the result ends up being chronic fatigue, emotional depletion, and running into burnout. So here's the irony in all of this. You're not burning out from being visible. You're actually burning out from the resistance to being visible. Hiding is going to kill your abundance. So you may dream of expansion, but if your nervous system is coded to equate visibility with danger, you will unconsciously sabotage the very opportunities that you've been waiting for. So here's how the trap plays out. You create this beautiful offering. Maybe it's a course or a service or a product, but you barely tell anyone. You whisper it into the world, hoping somehow it just sells itself. But then you feel discouraged when nobody buys. At work, maybe you're offered a leadership role, but then you say no because the thought of being seen by more people makes your body panic. You have real gifts. Your skills are valuable, but because they are not shared openly, the opportunities, clients, and resources cannot find you. And so the result ends up being you keep yourself in cycles of stagnation, scarcity, or burnout. Not because you're not capable, which is going to create the frustration for you because you know that you're capable, but because your nervous system keeps choosing safety, which looks like hiding, over expansion, being seen. So when it comes to being on display, I do want to make another big point here because you can be behind the scenes and still be very wealthy. Think about producers, writers, or creators behind the scenes. Many of them make millions of dollars without the public even knowing their names. Even for me, I go on Etsy, I love digital planners, and I have no idea who makes these digital planners. Nor do I care, I just want my digital planner. But here's how it works. Even if the person themselves, their identity is not visible, something about their work is visible. So the music producer's name might not be known, but the song is promoted and it's played everywhere. The inventor may not be on camera, but the product is still being advertised and purchased. So something about you has to be witnessed, shared, or promoted, whether it's your ideas, your creations, your results, or your presence. So let's talk more about when showing your face does matter. So while visibility can take so many forms, there are moments when showing your face is especially powerful. Number one, building trust. People connect fastest with faces. So if your work depends on coaching, healing, teaching, or service-based businesses, then showing your face creates safety and resonance. Personal branding. If you are the product, your wisdom, story, or lived experience, your presence becomes part of the magnetism, and your face helps people remember you. If your work is about embodiment or lifestyle or transformation, then your face and body become the proof of the work that you teach. But I want to remind you, you have control over how available you make yourself. You can choose how visible you want to be, when and in what way. And what you do and what you provide speaks louder than having to show your face, and that's valid. So this can create a healing shift from I have no control and visibility is dangerous to I get to decide how, when, and where I'm visible. So I say that you start with wherever you are. If you don't feel comfortable with being on camera, there's no need to traumatize yourself, right? We want to start small in increments. Start with blogging, writing, right? Start with something. You matter. You have something about you that's very powerful that the world needs, and it's a shame to hide it, right? What's really awesome about being someone that just focuses on one type of community is that maybe for that community, you're a star. But to the rest of the world, nobody knows who you are, and it's great. You can live both worlds. So I say just find your niche, find your community. I think it's great that we don't have to have 1,000,001 followers or fans, but we have just our group and community that we do cater towards, and we feel safe with them. And that's why it's number one for me to create a community where women feel safe, seen, respected, and honored, because that's a big part of what drives us into burnout, right? So we talked a lot about the visibility wound, and I want to ask you, just where have you hidden your gifts out of fear of being seen? Because I know we all have that fear, and it's scary. If this resonated with you, definitely leave a comment or share it so that other women can find this episode as well. And up next, we're going to talk about the receiving wound. That's going to be a really powerful episode for you and help you understand why you may have trouble with receiving. All right, so thank yourself so much for showing up today, and thank you for tuning in to the SheSacral Podcast.